Hello again. This is me batch filming videos. Same shirt, same hair. It is what it is. I only have 1 or 2 days a week I can actually film, and then, yeah. So, you'll see me in the same clothes a lot, but it's not because I'm gross. It's just because I'm planning ahead. So, anyway. If you have not been here, I am Karina Joy. I talk about books. That's pretty much all you'll hear. Yeah. So this is going to be my December wrap up. So, December was fun. I was sick. And yeah. So, I did manage to listen to a lot of short stories on audio. So, I actually read 11 physical books, and I read, okay, no, that's not completely true. I read 11 short stories and 11 books. Some of the books were audiobooks. And most of the short stories, I'm pretty sure were on audio. I found a whole bunch on Hoopla. They were all like Christmas short stories. I love Christmas short stories. They are usually super fluffy and joyful, and either that or they're very tragic and sad. It really just depends on, what time period you're in. So yeah, there were a couple that I was like, oh, so sad. But anyway, so I am going to start with the short stories, and then I'll talk about the books. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. Okay, so here we go. So the first short story I read is Christmas at Red Butte by L.M. Montgomery. And this, okay, so as I'm going back through this, I realized that some of these short stories I may not remember very much about, basically because I was sick, for one, and then for another, I read them kind of close together. So they're all running together. Yeah. So if I don't remember much about it, I will let you know. I'm usually pretty good at remembering details, but this one I honestly can't remember. But it's a Christmas at Red Butte by L.M. Montgomery. Her stories are usually really, really good, so I'm assuming it was awesome. I gave it 4 stars, but I can't remember what it was. Okay, so the next one was The Gift of the Magi. If you have not heard this story, I'm shocked because it's a classic. It's by O. Henry. The premise is that the wife wants to give the husband a gift, the husband wants to give the wife a gift, and they end up selling things that the other one got them the gift for. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you've never read it, I really don't want to spoil it for you, and if you have read it, you know exactly what I meant. So, The Gift of the Magi was really good. The Heavenly Christmas Tree. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have a really hard time saying this guy's name, so I'm gonna try. Okay. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up because I butcher it every single time. I searched. Apparently I'm not the only one that can't say it. Okay. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Oh One of these days, I'm going to get that down. I had never heard of him until I started watching BookTube, and then so many people mentioned him. So when I saw this short story by him, I was like, okay, it's got to be good. This is one of those tragic Christmas stories that is sad, but good. It's about a little boy, and it's cold and freezing weather and heaven. I probably gave too much away there, but it's a really good story. And for the time period and the country that it's in, it talks about a situation that they needed to take care of at the time, and hopefully they already have. Okay, so the next one is The Little Match Girl, and it kind of goes along the same lines as The Heavenly Christmas Tree. This is by Hans Christian Andersen, and I gave it 5 stars. The Little Match Girl, if you don't know, pretty much the same thing. She's trying to sell matches, I think? No. She's trying to sell something. I don't remember what. I'm really not good at that, remembering details. I thought I was, but maybe not. But anyway, she's trying to sell some stuff, and she ends up, you know, it's freezing weather and she runs out of matches. It's a tragic story. So if you haven't read those 2, next year, put them on your list. Okay, A Christmas Tree by Charles Dickens. Now, I gave this one 4 stars. This is one that I listened to kind of like in the height of my sickness, so I didn't catch all of it, but I caught enough of it that I really did enjoy. So he's talking about his childhood memories of his Christmas tree and all the ornaments and the magic behind it. And he just, you know how Charles Dickens is. He uses lots of words and paints a beautiful picture. So that one was a really good short story that I actually had never heard of. I found on Hoopla, they had like a collection of his short stories for Christmas. And so I listened to that one. It was pretty good. This one is one that I don't really remember. I'm going to mention it because it's on here, but it's What Christmas Is as We Grow Older by Charles Dickens. I gave it a 3 star. I really don't remember much about it. Okay, so that is my, oh wait, no, that's not all the short stories. Okay, the next one is The True Gift, A Christmas Story. This one is by Patricia McLaughlin. And this is about a little cow. And it's just cute, guys. I am a sucker for some cute animal stories. I can't resist. So that one was a good one. I'm not really in the Christmas spirit anymore, so talking about Christmas stories is kind of hard. So bear with me. But I wanted to do a wrap up because I did read in December. It just happened to be mostly Christmas stuff. Which, by the way, I was in the Christmas spirit at the time, so that's great. The Christmas Gift by Philip Vaughn, Doran Stern. This is actually the book that they got It's a Wonderful Life from. It was a really good short story. Can't remember exactly. I'm going to look it up here. It's like 64 pages. So It's a Wonderful Life, the movie, has quite a bit more detail than the book. The book is very simple and straightforward, but same premise, same character names, same events. It's just good. I mean, if you're gonna watch the movie every year, you might as well read the book. And so you need to put that on your Christmas list for next year. Okay, let me see. Oh, The Joseph's Christmas, I gave 4 stars. That's by Ellen Montgomery. Again, these short stories. I really do love short stories, but apparently when I'm sick and reading them in audio, I don't remember them. That's not a very good video, guys. What am I doing? Okay, so The Joseph's Christmas is another Ellen Montgomery's story that I don't remember. I'm sorry. Okay, so The Baby's Things. I gave a 4-star. This is by Edward Abbott, and it's actually, the whole title is The Baby's Things, a Story in Verse for Christmas Eve. Now, this book, or this short story, is sad. It's about a woman who lost her child through a miscarriage, I believe. And she does what a lot of women do and hangs on to the baby's things. And it's just her journey through Christmas and how she finds healing in giving to others. So it could be sad for some. It was sad for me. I've never miscarried, but we did have infertility, and it's just hard, you know? And so that one was definitely heart-wrenching and sad, but also very good. Okay, so A Christmas Inspiration. It's another one of L.M. Montgomery's. And obviously, oh, yes, okay. All right, so A Christmas Inspiration is by L.M. Montgomery. This was a really cute story about some girls that live in like a boarding house, and their inspiration to cheer up one of the other people that live in the house with them. It was really cute, loved it, perfect, like, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? It was the perfect, what am I looking for? Nostalgic, squishy. I know there's a word to describe this story and I can't think of it. But anyway, it was a really good story. So that one, definitely put on your list for next year. L.M. Montgomery has some really good Christmas short stories. I have not read them all, but I'd like to eventually. I read several this year, which I just told you about. Okay. So now I'm going to move on to the books that I read in December. And I don't have all of them as a physical copy, so I'm going to mention the ones that I listened to on audio first, and then I'll show you the ones that I actually have. Okay, so let's see. I don't want to miss anything. Okay. The Christmas Box. This one is by Richard Paul Evans, and it is about a couple that moves into an older woman's house and kind of helps take care of her, keep her company, all the things. But he finds this really, really pretty box, and there's letters in it he thinks that they are love letters. And yeah, it's a good story. I can't say too much because it will give things away, but you should listen to it. The guy who narrated it is the guy that played on The Waltons. I think his name is John Boy, the oldest son. And his voice is just, I'm just telling you, it's the perfect storytelling voice. So it's a good one to listen to on audio. Okay. The next one is Where Snow Angels Go. This probably could have gone into the short story version. I think it was like a picture book. I listened to it on audio. I gave it a 4-star, but thinking about it, I don't know. It's probably less, probably more like a 3-star. It's pretty much, the title tells you what it's about. It's about a little girl who makes a snow angel and discovers where snow angels go and what they do and all of the goodness that comes from that. It's a very cute child's story. Definitely one of those cheesy Christmas type of stories. Sorry I didn't have much on that one. Okay, so the next one I read, I've actually watched the movie and did not know it was a book, and especially not by this author. But L. Frank Baum wrote The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. I believe in, I'd have to do research on this, but there is a older, one of those classic Christmas movies that's called The Life and Times of Santa Claus, I believe. And I think it's the same story. I will confirm that here. But it was pretty good. Pretty much explains every question that you've ever had about Santa Claus and whether he could do these things or not. Now, personally, if your children are listening and you don't want them to know the secret, then don't let them listen. But we don't do Santa Claus. But I don't mind watching movies about Santa Claus, reading books about Santa Claus, that's all fine. I just want my children to know the real reason for Christmas, and that's Jesus. And so we don't do the whole Santa thing. But this book was really cute. It answered all the questions, as in like, how does he get down the chimney? And why do the reindeer fly? And why does he live forever? And all of those things. So if you're looking for like a fantasy type Christmas story with fairies and all kinds of magical things, this is a good one. And it's a classic, so you know, it might be a must for Christmas. Okay, so the next audiobook I listened to is called Locomotion. This is I would have to say it's free verse. I'd have to see it. It's in poems, so that's free verse, right? But this little boy is in a class and he is in foster care, and he is split up from his sister. His parents both passed away, and it's about his journey being separated from his sister, all the trauma that came from his parents' death, and it was just really good. I loved the poetry. It showed his happiness, it showed anger, it showed sadness. It was just a really good book. I think I would probably have to own it. I gave it 5 stars. You need to read it if you haven't read it yet. It's a really good one. Okay. I feel like that's all I've said the last few minutes is it's a really good one. Sorry. Okay, so now we can get to the books that I have in front of me. This is A Classic Christmas. I read the whole thing. It has A Christmas Carol and I want to say like 5 short stories from different authors, and then it has some poems in it. This was really good. I loved reading it. I gave it 4 stars. I'm not really sure why I gave it 4 stars. I think it has to do with some of the short stories weren't my jam, but I loved A Christmas Carol. The poems were good. Definitely going to keep this on my shelf for Christmas next year. I don't know what else to say about it. It was a good little collection of books. If you're looking for something that has A Christmas Carol in it, this is a good copy. It's got some stories by L.M. Montgomery and don't know, some other people. Oh, Hans Christian Andersen, Harriet Beecher Stowe. Yeah, this was a good little collection. This same publisher, I guess. Yeah, Thomas Nelson. They have a few others that I'd like to get next year. They have like a vintage Christmas, and I can't remember the other one, but they're completely different copies of Christmas stories. So I'm definitely going to order those for next year, and maybe instead of listening to things on audio, I'll actually read them from a book, which would be nice. Okay, so along with A Christmas Carol, I read an Advent book called Keeping Christmas. This is by Allison Pittman. This was so good. She is an English teacher. She has always really loved A Christmas Carol. She's a Christian, and so she did such a good job of drawing these lines from the story to Christianity. So I have always been very, I don't know what the word would be, intrigued or interested in the fact that Scrooge completely changes. It's always reminded me of salvation because he goes from one extreme to the complete other extreme. And the only thing that you can compare that to in real life is salvation. There's not ever going to be that type of transformation without Jesus Christ. And so she did a really good job of taking different elements in the story and showing you how they relate to Christianity. And I really loved it. She, at the end, she kind of puts like a disclaimer. She says that she's not sure if Charles Dickens intended to have all of these parallels, but they're there. And she says that okay, let's see how she worded this. Let me see if I can find it because it was really good. Okay, so she said, if God can take things that were intended for evil and make them work for good, why can't he take that which was intended for good and make it work for something eternal? So, really good book to go along with A Christmas Carol. I suggest you get it and read it next year. I loved it. Okay, last few books. Sorry, I'm rambly. Skyward was my favorite. I stayed up well past midnight on New Year's, so technically I finished this in 2022, but we are not going to talk about that because I did not go to sleep, and it's technically the same day if you haven't gone to sleep yet. So I finished this December 31st, 2021. You can't argue with me on that. So good, guys. 5 stars, Brandon Sanderson. I'm excited to read more of his stuff. I've never heard of him until this year, and I'm so happy that I started with this book because sci-fi is one of my favorite things. I really, really love Spenza and her little feisty attitude. She cracks me up. I love it. Okay, so the last 4 books that I read were in the Bible. I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. My goal was to read the entire New Testament in December, which I could have done had I not gotten sick. I did the math at the beginning of the month. If I had read like 6 pages a day, I could have gotten done with it. It didn't happen. But that's okay because I really, really enjoyed the Gospels. And I think every year I want to read the Gospels during the month of December because it was just a nice, intimate look at the Gospels during a time that I needed to be thinking about the Gospels and the reason why we celebrate Christmas and all of those things. So I'm going to give you a quick recap of what each one of these books discusses. So Matthew is all about Jesus as the fulfillment of prophecy. So Matthew is written towards the Jews. Matthew was a Jew, and he talks extensively about prophecies. So this happened to fulfill this prophecy. You'll find that tons of times in Matthew, and that is his goal, is to show that show the Jews that Jesus is the fulfillment of all of the prophecies about the Messiah. Mark talks about the Messiah being a Messiah for Gentiles. So Jesus did not only come to save the Jews, he also came to save the Gentiles. Luke talks about Jesus's compassion and that the gospel is open for everybody to receive. And then John is all about the supremacy of Christ and the fact that he is the only way to salvation. The Bible's always going to get 5 stars for me because I love it. It's my favorite book, hands down. It's when people talk about the books that changed their lives, that's the one that changed my life. When I was 24, I was in a bad place. I had just gotten divorced. I had a baby. Life was hard. And all I could remember was just thinking, I just need to read the Bible. And I read, if you can believe it, Lamentations, which is a pretty depressing book, but I needed it. I needed to know that it was okay to grieve, and I needed to know that it was okay to have a hard time. And the more and more I read that book, the more and more I drew closer to God, found salvation. That's the book that changed my life. So you will always hear from me 5 stars on the Bible. Okay, so it has felt so good to sit here and talk to you about these books. I wanted to film this so much sooner, but we had to travel. It's been a crazy month, but I'm glad that I finally got to talk to you about it. I'm sorry it's Christmas themed and we're in January, but it is what it is. I'm so excited for this year. I'm excited for all the fun new things that I have planned as far as reading goes. And I'm so grateful that you're coming along with me and listening to me babble about books. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.